Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening, whenever it is that you actually see this. I hope you're well. Hope the day's treated you well, or it's going to treat you well, depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, I know Spurs, by the way, play today. I'm actually recording this at half-time. It's 1-1 at half-time. Maddison scored, and then Isaac scored right on half-time. I don't think anyone's really that fussed about this sort of... It's not like a pre-season friendly, if you know what I mean. No, I don't think anyone's really that fussed. Hence why I've not done a preview. I'm not going to do a review. Not even really talk about it. You know what I mean? So in this video, though, we are talking a little bit about Riccardo Calafiori and the situation that he finds himself in going into the summer ahead of next season. Some interesting reports from Brazil surrounding Richarlison, as well as a little bit on Trevoh Chalobah, the Chelsea defender. So I'm going to be talking about those three guys in a bit of detail. Just want to say, though, if you're new, give us a subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us for the journey. And let's... Oh, sorry, I forgot to say, I have released a video earlier today, all right? So I did talk about Poch and his firing and what that means for Gallagher and Spurs. So go back, have a little watch of that, because I think it's really interesting to have a bit more of a chat more than there's this news from this outlet, you know. So go back, have a little watch if you missed it. But in this one, I'm going to start with Riccardo Calafiori. I love saying his name. But you know what? We should just sign him so I can just say his name more. Belter of a name. By the way, if you saw the game against Juve, I think it was, and he's having an interview, a post-match interview with a female reporter, and his girlfriend runs out of nowhere, and it's so funny. It was like, fair enough. But anyway, on this, it came from THFC, so this is quite interesting because this is a Juventus publication. Give you a quick backstory. Juventus are really keen on Thiago Motta being their next manager, who is the Bologna manager, who is where Calafiori plays. Calafiori, I think, is waiting to see what happens with Motta, because I think if Motta goes to Juve, I think he wants to go with him to Juve. And I think in a defence where you've got him and like Bremer, it's a decent centre-back pairing. You know, I think they may move on for Bremer, but if they don't, it's a good centre-back pairing. So THFC said that Spurs really like Calafiori. Bologna are hoping to raise up to 30 million euros through his sale, but really value defender at 25 million euros. Spurs will have to convince the player, though, as he is keen to remain in Serie A. Juventus are pushing for an agreement before the European Championship starts. So, quickly, just on that, I don't think that's him saying, I don't want to go to Spurs. I just think he has a preference to stay in Italy. I mean, it's his home country. I totally get it. And I don't hate that at all. You know, could he want to come to Spurs, you know, with a bit more of an in-depth chat of what the season may look like for him, what the sort of the playing role he might have? Is it going to be at left back? Is it going to be at centre back? Is it going to be a mixture? Is it going to be into the midfield at times? I think, you know, you could easily sell him on Spurs. You could easily sell him on Spurs, you know, but you'd be like, look, Italy's should be number one goalkeepers in goal for us, because Donnarumma's not very good. You got Italy's number one left back, you know, at left back in Destiny Udogie. You've got players who played in Italy, and Romero and Bentancur and Dragoshin, and obviously Kulusevski. You know, mate, come and join the revolution, this Serie A revolution, which is Spurs. It'll be a Paratici masterclass to get him. I'm just going to actually really quickly euros to pounds again, because I never have it ready to hand. But let's say if we did 30 million euros is 25 million pounds. If it's 25 million euros, it's 21 million pounds. Do it. I'd give them 30 million euros. I'd go and outbid Juventus. I'd say we can outbid them. We can even do you better for wages. But I think you can go to Bologna and go, we're going to outbid Juventus. They can't match us. The only way they can match us is if they sell Bremer, and it's like cut your nose off to spite your face in that situation. So there is that. Right, I want to talk a little bit about Trevoh Chalobah, because I think we'll go centre-back to centre-back. And it came from Graham Bailey through HITC, who said that Spurs have inquired about signing Chelsea centre-back Trevoh Chalobah. Spurs want to sign another central defender this summer, and Chelsea have told him they wish to sell him. A deal would cost around £30 million. So, you know, let's compare the two in a weird way. Trevoh Chalobah, super athletic, good in the air, scored a really good goal against us, actually. Good in the air, physical enough that he can handle himself in space, athletic enough that he can handle himself in space, good from playing out the back, can play a bit of right back if you need. all in all, quite similar to Calafiori in that regard. You know, he can play at the left-back's position. He's left-footed, physical, for sure. You know, good on the ball, athletic enough to defend in space. So I think there's not a ton between them. Now, the difference is Calafiori's left-footed, and it's one of those things that I think is so underrated in football, is having a left-sided centre-back with a left foot. You know, it's like even when you watch like Skip or Emerson Royal at left-back, you're thinking, you know, they take a touch, the ball goes into midfield, the left winger kind of gets removed from the game. When it was Mickey, the ball would go out to him, the ball would still go to the left winger because it would just flow there, you know. And I think that's something you really underrate in this game. I mean, the fact that you're going to have to spend an extra £5 to £6, £7 million on Trevoh Chalobah, is he that much better than Calafiori? No, in my opinion. He's homegrown. That is a key thing in all of this. He is homegrown. And Spurs may look at and try and do a double deal where they go Gallagher and Trevoh Chalobah. You might get them both for about £55-60 million, which for me, I get the Gallagher one a little bit more. You know, you want to try and get the guy that Ange truly wants. Trevoh Chalobah just feels like a guy that you kind of go, yeah, it'd be nice to have, but, you know, one of those ones. And, you know, he did miss a lot of time last season with injury. I would say that. He did play, obviously, towards the back end of the season, and when he was playing, Chelsea looked better. Personally, for me, no, is what I'm going to go with on that front. I'd rather Calafiori, especially because Trevoh Chalobah, that's a decent name. Riccardo Calafiori, I need to say that name more. It's a better name. So there is that. Right, I want to end on these Brazil reports on Richarlison. So it says that Richarlison wants to remain at Spurs despite links to clubs in Saudi Arabia. Spurs are happy for him to stay and do not intend to listen to any bids. The two parties have already held talks over his future, and the striker is in their plans for next season. And I think let's just sort of have a bit of a chat about that. Normally when... It's really ironic, actually, because I remember watching the United stand, Mark Goldbridge, and they were talking about, I think it was Anthony before they signed him. And the amount of like English publications that had no idea what was going on, but a few Brazilian publications were like, "Yeah, the deal's progressing." And then 2 days later, the English publications caught up. And I do think Brazil publications, when they do say something, there is something to the story. I don't think they just say it for the hell of it. I think Richarlison would be in Spurs' plans. I don't think they're looking to move on from him. And this is the key thing. I've had a conversation with a few of you in the comments. I don't think Spurs are looking to move on from Richarlison, but I think they'll always have their ear open to say, you want Richarlison, what would you offer, roughly? See, that's not enough, not for us, no thanks. But if someone goes, we'd offer about 50 million, I think Spurs would go, ooh, that's a pause for a thought, let me get back to you on that one. I think that's one of those ones where if Spurs get blown away by an offer, they'll sell him. Absolutely, they'll look to sell him. But if Spurs get like a £30 million offer, they're going to go, no, we're all right. And I don't mind keeping Richarlison, by the way, because if we go into next season with a new number 9, you know, a few of you have said Benjamin Sesko. Some of you have said Dominic Solanke. Polly, I know who you are, obviously. Some of you said Ivan Toney. Some of you have said Lewis Openda. I mean, I'm an Openda guy. Some of you said Victor Gyökeres. Some of you said Serhou Guirassy. You know, some of you said Santiago Jimenez. They will look to get a number 9 next season. And I think if you had that number 9, you have Richie and maybe a youngster on the bench who's going to get, you know, minutes through the Europa League or cup competitions and sporadic minutes here and there, where, like, if you need a goal, you don't throw him on, you throw Richarlison on, or you throw the other number 9 on. But if you're like 3-0 up, throw him on there for 15 minutes. Doesn't even matter if we score. It's just invaluable minutes that he can get, you know. I think that would be a really key move. I think that would be the way I would go about it. And I don't mind having that as a striker ring. You know, Sonny can obviously masquerade as a striker here and there as well. But obviously he's the left winger. You know, hell, Johnson can play striker. He did it for Forest. You know, if he really push come to shove. I mean, we saw Kulusevski play a false 9. He could play there. Even Maddison, Sarr, they've done false 9. So I wouldn't mind another striker. Richie and him battling out for number 1. Obviously then the number 3 being a younger striker who's just going to get fairly regular minutes here and there, develops within the first team as well. Because like, if you're not going to get him a good enough loan spell, there's no point loaning him out for the sake of it, you know. If a guy should be loaned out in the Championship, but the only team that really wants him is League 2, don't bother. Just keep him with you. He'll develop with the first team more, the odd minutes through Europe, the odd minutes through, cup competitions. So I think that's the way I would go about it. I think Spurs will go about it that way. I think Valise will get loaned out. I think Lancashire could get loaned out potentially. I think Scarlett would be the one to stay. I think that's the way they would go about it, because I think Troy Parrott's gone again next summer. That's another one we don't talk about, but I think he will be sold in the summer, because I think after the season's had at Excelsior Rotterdam, I think there's interest there. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. But yeah, for me, on just to sort of round up the video, Calafiori is the guy that I want as my centre-back, my new centre-back. I think Trevoh Chalobah is decent. Had we not been interested in Calafiori and it was Trevoh Chalobah, it's a good conversation to have. And I think Richarlison will stay unless Spurs get absolutely blown away. He's not one of those that Spurs are looking to move on. And I talked about the report. It's him, Skip, and Basuma. I don't think they're looking to move on for any of those guys, but if they get a really good offer, they'll consider it. But we shall see. Anyway, guys, then the video. Hope you enjoyed. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comment section down below your thoughts and feelings about those Brazilian reports on Richarlison, on obviously Riccardo, Calafiori, and obviously Trevoh Chalobah as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, then the video. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.